saying miracle, that's big chill. Give you zero, no good, good. That's a board wipe, no refill. We absolute, that's overkill. That destiny, you adopted that. I'm a hero.
Yugi peoples, welcome to the discussion video part 2. In this video, I'll talk about my 3 losses during the 9-round regional. Last video we talked about my deck choices and why I ran my deck the way I did, the goals of my deck, like how I accomplished those, and yeah. So I really didn't see too much of a point in going over my wins because most of my wins were very one-sided. With DPE, Dark Law, Dark Angel out on the board, like my opponent's options are very limited. Like apparently at this point, if I already played through, Droll. I think Droll got me 1 out of the 6 times that it was played against me. Nib, the 3 times it played against me, I still won all 3 of those games. Never got evenly matched because of Dark Angel, and never got Dark Ruler no more because of Dark Angel. So the deck was very successful in what it did. So the games that I won, they were pretty much, just easy wins at that point. My 3 losses, I lost to a Skill Drain, Eldritch, OTK, Strange, Floodgate variant thing. I lost a mirror match to Heroes also. And my 3rd round match, I lost in time to Sprite. So yeah, I figured we talk about those a little bit. So my first loss came in round 2. I played against a Skill Drain, Floodgate variant thing, and yeah, he went up first, set like 4 back rows. So I started my turn, activate Ferris effect, discarding Ferris to special summon Ferris out to the board. My opponent flipped up Skill Drain, so at this point, I had a decision because I had Stratos and Mass Change in hand, and so it was either go ahead and save the Mass Change for when I normal summon Stratos, and then activate his effect to destroy back row, mass change to get him off the board so that Skill Drain won't negate its effect, and then I have to pop 2 back row, most likely Skill Drain and something else. But if I do that, I don't have any kind of follow-up play. Basically, I have Ferris and Mass Hero Blast out on the board, and that's pretty much it for my turn. So my second option is to go ahead and chain the mass change to Ferris's effect, which I go ahead and do. So I swap out Ferris for Dark Law. Now Ferris is no longer face up on the board, so his effect is allowed to resolve, and I put increase into my spell and trap card zone. Now at this point, I'm pretty sure like my opponent, I want to say he activated something which allowed him to kill my Dark Law. I can't remember which card it was. Yeah, it was something. But like I know my Dark Law ended up no longer on the board. So at this point I go normal summon Stratos, activate effect to destroy. No, my Dark Law was still out there on the board. Like I'm trying to remember why I wasn't able to kill him. Alright, so yeah. So we have Dark Law with increase into my spell and trap card zone. I go ahead and normal summon out Stratos. I use Stratos effect to destroy spells and trap cards on the board. My opponent has no response. I go ahead and chain increase to remove Stratos from the board so that I can, resolve his effect since he's no longer face up on the board. Skill Drain cannot negate his effect since he's no longer face up on the board. So special summon increase. I destroy 2 back row, a Skill Drain, and some random card that I don't remember exactly what it was. And then I activate increase effect to special summon Vion. I use Vion's effect to send Mally from deck to grave. And on resolution, my opponent flips up Imperial Iron Wall. So, yeah, I got Imperial Iron Wall there. And that pretty much is enough to, effectively stop my turn. I'm not really able to do much after that. I can't add my poly. I can't banish Mally to special summon Mally. So it's like at this point, I have a couple of options. I can go I can make Denier with those 2. I mean, not Denier, but I can make Cross Crusader with those 2. Go ahead and, special summon out the Mally, tribute it with Cross Crusader to go ahead and add my Elemental Hero Honest Neos, and that's what, like 49, 59, 60. So 49. Yeah, it's like 65, 49, 59. 59, 65. And I think it's only like 65. He took 1,000 from the skill drain, so it leaves him at like 500. So, it's not enough to kill him at that point, So the Imperial Ironwall was effectively enough to keep me from winning the game there. So, yeah, we lost that game. Double Floodgate. Got through one of them, couldn't get through the second one. Game 2, I managed to win. I drew the Cosmic Cyclone for his skill drain, and yeah, it was like pretty easy to win the game from there without any other floodgates, just normal traps and stuff. I basically just win the game. Going into game 3, my opponent goes first. He sets 2 back rows. I start my turn again. Ferris, discard Shadow Mist. I decided not to activate Shadow Mist because I already have Vion in hand, so I'm just like, and I have Cosmic Cyclone, so I'm just thinking to myself like, this'll be fine. Like I don't need to activate my Shadow Mist effect right now. Maybe I want to use it to get my mass change or something later on, depending on what he has. So go ahead and special summon out my Ferris. No effect. I go increase effect, tribute off my Ferris, special summon increase effect, and my opponent goes Ash. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. I can deal with it. I got the Vion in hand, normal summon Vion. My opponent goes Effect Veiler. I'm like, that's fine too. I chain Call by the Grave, hit the Effect Veiler, and my opponent chains Ghost Veil. Yep. So, once again, my Vion effect goes ahead and gets hit, and yeah, couldn't do too much about that. Like without being able to use Vion's effect, I've used my normal summon. I've used my what's his name? Use my increase effect. Use my Ferris effect. And yeah, my opponent just had like the perfect combination of cards in order to be able to stop me. Like, and he did flip up skill drain. I had the Cosmic Cyclone for it. I think he drew skill drain like all 3 games. It's crazy. But yeah, and so like I basically have to end my board with increase and Vion out on the board. There was something that he did. That allowed him to get the Fallen of Albaz. Why? I don't know. Did he Dogmatica punishment me or something? I don't know. There was something that he did that allowed him to get the Fallen of Albaz. So, I'm missing something off inside of there what happened. But, that's fine. Was it, nah, it couldn't have been because of the Lord of the Heavenly Sky Prison. But I know he summoned out the Lord of the Heavenly Sky Prison. But I'm not sure what the Lord of the Heavenly Sky Prison would have been able to do to get him Fallen of Albaz during his during the end phase. So I'm probably missing something off inside of there. But either way, yeah, my opponent was able to add Fallen of Albaz to his hand. He had Lord of the Heavenly Sky Prison out on the board. His turn, he drew Unbelievable. He drew Eldritch the Golden Lord, so he was able to normal summon out the Fallen of Albaz. He discarded the Eldritch of the Golden Lord, and it allowed him to special summon, who was it? I think, was it Dracos Tapelia? Or some fusion monster he fusioned with my Vion to make that. And then he had that second back row that he had set, which ended up being Solemn Judgment. He was able to send it to the graveyard to special summon out the Eldritch of the Golden Lord. So that's 3k, 35, and then like 27 or whatever the attack was of the fusion monster he brought out. But either way, it was enough to do the 7,000 damage in order to kill me. So yeah, I was pretty salty about that one. It just seemed like both games where I played optimally, and it's just like in the end my opponent had just like the perfect counters in order to stop it. So it is what it is. Game 2, or my second loss, came after lunch, which I believe was round 4. I played the Hero Mirror match. I won the dice roll. I went first. Dark Angel DPE Dark Lawed him, and yeah, he wasn't able to do anything. I think he summoned Vion, and I went ahead and just popped it with DPE, and yeah, basically after that he just kind of scooped. Game two, My opponent started off, he got like a whole crazy board. I went evenly matched on him, and he went ahead and chained DPE. I think he popped his own stuff, and he left the back row out on the board. And I talked to him like in between rounds. We always talk at the beginning of the regionals and stuff. He's like a very, very cool dude. I don't know if he wants his name mentioned in the video because I don't like exposing people's decks and strategies, for the most part, unless they tell me to or don't mind. But yeah, so I knew that he was running Super Poly, and we had talked about that because I think like what I said, when I realized we had the same record, I was like, oh, we're gonna play against each other next round, and I kept saying that, and we ended up playing against each other. So seeing as how he kept his back row, I was like, it's either one of two cards. It's either Super Poly or D Barrier. So I just go ahead and decide to set Shadow Mist and pass turn, because any play that I make is going to super poly me or debarrier me, and it's just going to end up being a waste. So I decided to wait to see if there's a way that I can play around those cards later, but there was no later. I ended up getting OTK'd the next turn. So game 3. When I'm siding going into game 3, after I get through side decking, I'm telling myself to go ahead and side out the Dark Angel, because I don't want to Dark Angel my opponent, because basically it forces me to, pop really, really early, and I don't want to have to do that. And also, Ferris just puts the increase into the back row, and increase can just tribute the Dark Law for tribute the Dark Angel for cost. So tell myself, do not do not special summon Dark Angel on him. Go to Plasma Line. So going into side decking and stuff, I think like after I finish side decking, I do the thing where I shuffle my entire side deck into my main deck, take out the least effective cards, and go like that. So there was 16 cards on my side deck. And, like out of all the choices, I was like, well, I can at least leave Dark Angel off of there. Maybe I need to pitch it for Ferris, or maybe, I need to Fusion Destiny it off or whatever. So I put the Dark Angel back off inside of my deck so that I would have 15 card side, start off my turn. I think the only thing that I really drew that was playable was Fusion Destiny. So basically we start off with Fusion Destiny, and we end up doing Dark ending on DPE Dark Angel. And I told myself not to Dark Angel him. Definitely should have went DPE Plasma. I had no hand traps in hand. And yeah, so basically the worst happened. I want to say he like normal summon Vion. I popped it, and then he went discard for Ferris. Ferris increase, get rid of Dark Angel, OTK me. So yeah, ended up getting OTK'd in the Hero Mirror match. I feel like throughout the whole entire day, that is the only play mistake I made the entire tournament. Was definitely summoning the Dark Angel on his side of the board. Some could say it wasn't a play mistake because he could have also like super polyed me and or whatever, but I feel like in that case it's a whole lot easier for him to search out Ferris than it is for him to get super poly. Super poly has to pretty much draw it, but in order to get the Ferris, all he has to do is like normal summon Stratos or normal summon Vion, and basically either one of those normal summons allows him to get to the Ferris play where he'll be able to use increase to tribute out my Dark Law. So definitely should have went the Plasma Line, and I ended up throwing that match right there. So yeah, that was my second loss right there. Basically, lost to mirror match. It was bad. I think he told me he hadn't lost a mirror match in like 6 years or so. So yes, his streak continues. I wasn't able to be the one to do it this time. So yeah, going into round 7 is where I got my third loss. It was very, very, very heartbreaking loss. This was the third Sprite Nimble deck that I played against, and he won the dice roll, and I attempted to try to play through his board. It ended up being like a pretty grindy matchup, but it's kind of hard to outgrind them when like I didn't realize they were playing like Nimble Sunfish and like all these other Nimble cards, man. It was just way too much. You can only let your opponent resolve so many Sprite Springs before it's just too much for you to handle. So game 1 he just like outpaced me and was able to eventually win the game. Game 2 I went first. set up my board, DPE, Dark Law, Dark Angel. He was able to, you know, go ahead and do his normal summon. Went ahead and popped it with DPE. Can't extend with Sprite starter or anything like that. So yeah, that's pretty much all she wrote for that game. Going into game 3, there was about how do you say? There were about 3 or 4 minutes. I want to say there was about 4 minutes left going into game 3. Yeah, about 4 minutes left, and like I said, I just won game 2. So of course my opponent is going to go first game 3, and I'm pretty sure his turn is going to be the only turn. So like basically, like the best I can do here is hope for a draw. I sided out anything that I couldn't play, anything that wasn't a hand trap. I just like basically like threw it out and sided in just like every single hand trap that I could, like nib, droll. I left the ghost bells off of there because I was like, I don't know, who knows? I might, you know, he might have something weird that I might be able to ghost bell, gamma, and yeah, and like I basically all I could do was summon all that and hope for the best. So my opponent starts off his turn. He's playing the adventure engine also, which like made winning game 2 like kind of tough, man, because when they start, like when they use that one that can bounce, like it makes it like tough to, you know, like what to DPE pop and stuff. And yeah, it was like ended up being like a very hard match. No, not the game, not game 2, but game 1. Yeah, like that adventure stuff made it pretty hard to win that game. So yeah, back to game 3. My opponent starts off his turn. He summons the Griffin, you know, he special summons out the Griffin, and then he goes normal summon the Nimble Beaver, and activate effects of special summon, you know, Nimble Beaver from deck. So the only hand trap I end up drawing was Side Frame Gamma. So at this point, you know, I'm thinking inside of my mind, I have only one of 2 options. I can let the Beaver resolve and try to negate like the Gamma or something like that. But if he has starter, like I'm pretty sure he's not gonna go like, what is it, Gamma first. You know, he's going to bring out the Sprite Sprint, send the Angler, special summon like more Nimbles or something like that. Because if he has starter in hand, then he has, what's his name, Sprite Red. Is it Red that negates monster effects? So he'll be pretty good to go into his stuff. So then I think like if I go ahead and Gamma the Nimble Beaver, he has to exactly have Sprite starter in order to win the game, because basically he won't have any level 2s out on the board. He won't have a way to normal summon again. So I basically just win the game. So I figure, you know, if he has a Sprite starter, I go ahead and lose either way. So I go ahead and gamble the Nimble Beaver, and he has starter in hand, proceeds to summon, you know, his other stuff, goes into what's his name? Gamma? No, not Gamma. Sprite. The XYZ monster, Gigantic. He goes into Gigantic, red resonator effect, gain 3,200 life points. So, yep. Even though he took the 1,100 from the starter thing, he gains 3,200 with the Gigantic Sprite. And I ended up losing in time to that. That's my 3rd loss right there. I'll go ahead and play out the last 2 rounds, hoping that there's a chance that the X3 could get the invite. I win my last 2 rounds, pretty easy peasy, yeah.
Man, he come through, he level up, he go cool, he's shining out and popping to over 9K. That's a breakthrough. We on top now. Here's a look at our world.